Okay, so as we discussed, as the title suggests, we are going to talk about the short stories and how do we appreciate that. Before we start, I would want you to have a look at this, say a few words, a line, I guess you could see. And if you could tell me what do you think it is? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is something written there. There are some words. And if you could tell me what do you think it is? Yes, Nisha.
It is a product which is for sale, and the product is shoes
Mm-hmm.
for babies
Mm-hmm.
and which are never worn.
Okay, so what do you make of it?
A kind of advertisement.
Okay, it looks like an advertisement. Okay, what else do you make of it? Read carefully. There are only six words, I think, so you can read it more than once. What do you think it is? An advertisement is one guess. What do you mean by never worn? When you buy something new, it has to be something which is not worn by others.
Fresh piece, we can say.
Yeah, but you don't have to say if it is a fresh piece, isn't it?
Yes.
It
Have you
is a
ever?
second-hand product, but they have bought it, but they have not used it anytime.
Hmm. Okay, so it's a resell,
For custom
not just a sell. Yes, Disha.
for customer satisfaction.
Okay, and have you ever seen any shop with this kind of a signboard which says that don't misunderstand us, we are going to share only the fresh piece, nobody has worn before you. Have you ever seen anywhere?
No.
So it is by default given, it has to be fresh. If it is worn, then also it is mentioned, those there are stores where such products are available, second hand or already used products, maybe clothes,
But
maybe furniture. So
maybe
it's
it's a resale, like the
Ah,
person
it's
had bought
for
the shoe
resale.
and
okay.
it has not been worn. Maybe.
Okay. So what do you make of it? Does it still look like an advertisement?
Yes, it is still an advertisement because they are selling the baby shoes, but
Mm-hmm.
they have mentioned that it is not worn anytime.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll tell you what these lines are believed to be written by. You know the name called Ernest Hemingway? Anybody? No, nobody has heard Ernest Hemingway? Mm, okay, somebody use the chat. Let me see. Ansu said maybe it is a name of a story I have heard somewhere. Okay, where do you think you have heard? It's a name of a story. Where do you think you have come across this? Okay, so Bhumi said Ernest Hemingway, I think, is an American novelist. Yes, he is. Mhm. So, where do you think, Ansu, you heard that it looks like a title of a story or a name of a story? And in some social media platform or you read somewhere? You said you heard somewhere. Librarian, ma'am. Okay. Which library you are talking about? In a school. Okay, interesting. Well, to reveal the secret, it's not an advertisement first, and it's not the name or title of a story. It is considered to be a story in itself. It is a story, a very short story, as short as 6 letters. What do you think? That's a type called micro story. Very short as 6 letters. Okay, so that also is one kind of a story which is now also still in practice almost in all the languages. So that can also be a story. That could also be that short story. Right, so you can search, of course, on Google. You will find many stories related to this story, and I'm sure you'll be entertained, and you'll find some interesting details about it. Right, so I'm not saying
But sir,
yes,
what's the purpose behind the story?
that's your problem. Author's job was to write. He wrote, and then its job is done. Now it's your problem. You have to dig out. You have to find out.
But what's the purpose? What's the moral of the story? What story wants to tell us?
What do you think? It tells you as much as you can decode. Right? No author would ever tell you directly. Remember, the art lies in concealing art. It's not only for poetry, it is for literature in general. Not all of them, but many of them believe that art lies in concealing art. Now, if you are a literature student, you need to dig out. You need to find layers and layers of possible meanings, which is possible that at times even author did not see it this way, but you might have. For example, when the write-up was done, I don't think he wanted to make it look like an advertisement, right? But it looks like an advertisement, and it is an advertisement, but in a fiction with an intention to suggest so many things, right? So then it is up to you that you have to keep on say piling it on. So it's not the product that is fresh available in a showroom, but maybe somebody some unfortunate parents, those who bought it, but somehow something went wrong, and that's why the baby shoes were never worn, and now they can't even keep it as a memory. They'll have to sell it. So there must be layers and layers of possible meanings, right, that you have to dig out. Right, you have to reveal something that the author must have concealed. So that is one example with which we'll start today's session. So welcome to the literature class. Okay, so I think there was a task given to all of you, which was to tell us your favorite story. And I think I made it clear that you are not supposed to tell me the story that you read somewhere, but the story that you heard, preferably from your parents or grandparents or maybe uncle or some family member, usually the senior ones, those who must have told you story, or somebody might have told you the story and you remember and liked it. So yes, one by one, if you could tell me your favorite story that you have heard and remembered. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Do you want me to call, or would you like to come on your own?
Call, sir.
Should I call?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll call Disha. Yes, Disha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it was your suggestion, so you are the first victim. So please tell me, which is your story?
Once there was a crocodile and a monkey.
Mm-hmm.
They both were good friends, and then they shared everything with each other. If crocodile wanted to eat sweet apples from the tree, the monkey would help him to get it, and if the monkey had to eat some fishes, then the crocodile helped monkey to give him. So they became best friends, and once the crocodile shared this incidents with his wife, so that there are sweet apples. My friend monkey gives me. So his wife said that let me also taste few. So he bought for his wife, and then the crocodile's wife said that the person who eats this sweet apples, his heart also might be so sweet, so I want to eat him, so bring him for dinner. So the crocodile said the monkey that come, I will take you to the pond for the short trip. Then he said yes, let me come. Then they both went, and then the wife of crocodile, he shared this incident with monkey that all this happened, and I shared this thing with my wife, and she wants to eat your heart. Then the crocodile said, then the monkey said, oh shit, I forgot my heart on the tree where he lived. So he said that you might have told me before, so I would have carried it with me. So then the crocodile took him to the tree, and then the monkey ran away and sat on the tree and said, don't that a soul of our heart is never out of our body. So then the moral of this story is, don't underestimate yourself. There are bigger fools in this world.
Okay, so you have to depend on fools, isn't it? Okay, so where did you come across this story? Somebody told you, or did you read it?
My mother shared it with me.
So your mother told you this story. So interesting, interesting. So now, Disha, you say who should come next? You name one of your classmates.
Prapti.
Yes, Prapti.
Yeah. So I have heard of the story, but how I taught my grandmother to read. This story my mother had told me. So in this short story, it is that a old lady wanted to read, and then she said she read, and she was not. So she started to read a novel by herself. But as she could not read the novel by herself, her granddaughter used to help her read the novel every day. Like that. So the moral is that anyone at any age can read and do anything. There is no age limit on anything.
Okay, okay. So that's the story your mother told you?
Yes.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Yeah. So Prapti, who should come next?
Movie.
Sorry?
Movie.
Okay, Dhruvi. Do we have Dhruvi? Yes, I think Dhruvi is not there. Is she there, Dhruvi? No. Okay, do we have Bhumi? Bhumi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Bhumi. So please let me know.
One
What's
story.
your story?
Yes, sir. My grandmother always used to share this story with me. That the story of rabbit and turtle. Like they had a race. They used to had a race in a garden area or in a forest, and rabbit was much overconfident of himself that he is the fastest one than tortoise. And once he reached at a level of winning, rabbit thought to take a rest sometime because he was overconfident that have in anyhow I will only win. And meanwhile rabbit took a long nap and turtle went far away from him and he win, and like yeah, he crossed the he won the race. So like we can say that the moral of the story is like that slow and steady always wins the race. We should never be overconfident of ourselves that we know everything, we are the fastest one. We should not underestimate others also.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. And that's your grandmother told you, right?
My grandmother always used to share with me.
Okay, fine, interesting. Actually, one or two I'll be able to invite by choice. By choice. Anybody would like to join by choice? Yep. Okay, so now we got 4 to 5 of the examples. One is that of a crocodile and the monkey. The other was that of how I taught my grandmother to read, and I think there was one more like the one that is Rabbit and the Tortoise Race. So these are very popular, and I'm sure most of the classmates must have heard these stories. Maybe how I taught my grandmother to read was not so common, but the rest of the stories seem to be quite say common, isn't it? So that's there because this is there in the common things. We like the stories, and if you have noticed that while our friends were telling us the stories, we still like to listen to it. Because tell me, did you not hear these stories already? Almost all the stories were known to all of us.
Yes. So
Yes.
But did you hear it in English?
no.
No,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. So that's maybe the new. The language may be new, but otherwise you knew already the story part, isn't it? So that's interesting. Now, what I want is that most of us like stories. All of us, educated, uneducated, people from almost all the walks of life, they like stories. Then the question could be, why do we like stories? What do you think is the reason that all humans in general like stories? From whatever background they are, if you say, let me tell you a story, or if you have this sentence, opening sentence called once upon a time, and then you say, yes, what happened? Isn't it? So you generate curiosity the moment you are told that a story would be told. So what makes it so very interesting for all of us?
It takes us to the another world.
Okay, it takes us to the another world. That's one. So
Sometimes
yes,
sometimes we connect it with our own life.
sometimes we feel connected with our own lives. Okay, so when you it takes you to the other world, so does it mean that you are not happy in this world? Do you want to go back to some other world? So it transports us. That's one. It makes us see and feel something that we already feel in our own lives. So that's two. What are the other possible reasons? Why do you think we like stories? All of us, most of us like stories.
Sometimes they are entertaining.
Yes, they are entertaining.
Stories bases imagination, where animal can speak also.
Okay, it uses imagination where animals can speak, even things can speak, planets also think and speak. Yes,
That
We get
makes us
more,
interesting.
that makes us or the story is interesting.
Story, story interesting, and we get interested.
We get interested in the stories because of these elements which we do not see in the real lives, isn't it? We do talk to dogs and animals, but dogs and animals do not talk to us, not in the way we are told in the stories. So that could be interesting. Yes.
knowledge is shared. Morals.
Knowledge. Yes, knowledge and morals, teaching.
We get creative thinking.
Okay. Creative thinking, as in what way it is make you think creatively?
We have imaginary characters
Hmm.
in front of ourselves.
Okay. Okay. So we like imagination. So that's true. The question is like, why do we like such imaginary characters? Why do we like to transport ourselves to the other world?
For peace of mind.
For peace of mind. Okay. Mhm. Usually the stories
for
are, yes, Vaibhavi.
for our satisfaction because it's like learn with fun. The same thing someone or our teacher told us in lecture type, we don't like it. But if someone tells a story, the same thing we like it.
Interesting, interesting. So that's what the stories do. They teach, but teach indirectly, right? A good story will never tell you that behave like Ram and don't behave like Ravan, isn't it? You are told the story of Ram and Ravan and others, and it is you who would have to take the suggestions, right, made in the story. In a genuine literature, they would never tell you do's and don'ts. It is to be understood. The meanings are suggested. Anna. So that's interesting. So there are interesting observations I could see. But basically, if you see, we are interested in stories because their stories are always about somebody. If you remember the poem, we did discuss that in a poem there will always be a speaker. So somebody is speaking. Similarly, in a story, somebody is saying the story. And if somebody is telling the story, that means it must be about him, her, or maybe about somebody else, isn't it? So it is somebody else's life where something happened in somebody's life. The moment you say, do you know what happened yesterday to him or to her? And then you're instantly interested, all ears, ready to listen. That is because basically we love gossip, especially about others' lives. Did you notice that? It's not only for girls, they accuse girls of being uh, in love with gossip, but that's not true. Humans in general, we love gossip. We love to talk about others, or at least we like to know about what happened in others' lives. Did you notice that?
Yes.
We like to know, and if at times we also like to pass judgments about somebody being good or not good or whatever. So that's the human nature, that we like to gossip, we like to know what's happening in others' lives. So that's one. Yes or no? Stories somebody wrote. Let me see. Vaibhav said yes, stories make us tough from others' mistakes. Is it tough or taught? Okay, it teaches us. You mean to say stories teach us to be tougher. So that's true. We learn a lot, and as some of you already said, we feel sympathized with somebody. That something wrong happened to somebody, you feel sympathy, right? Or you may also feel empathy. I guess you know these two words. Sympathy is popular. Empathy, I'm not sure. Have you heard the term empathy?
Yes.
So, what does it mean?
To know how other person is feeling.
So, is it not what you do in sympathy?
It is to understand other people's feelings.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is it not what you do in sympathizing also? When you are having sympathy for others, you feel what others might be feeling. And you feel bad for them, isn't it? So, is it not the same as sympathy, empathy, or sympathy? Yes or no?
Is it similar or not?
No, that's my question. You can't steal my question. Do you tell me, what do you think? Spelling
Meaning
wise,
is same for both.
Like sympathy is a type of pity.
okay. And
Feeling of pity, I must say. Feeling of pity.
ठीक है. And what is empathy?
Um,
There are two sisters actually, sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is younger sister, empathy is elder sister. And you know only younger sister, sympathy. Now, when you say sympathy, you feel bad for others, you think that something must have happened to somebody and you feel bad for them. That's sympathy. But empathy is when you have gone through the same pain or maybe same or similar situation. And when you see somebody going through the same or similar situation, then you don't just have sympathy, but you have empathy. Isn't it? Let's say when you score, say badly in your exam, and then after some times or maybe some years, you see your friend or your younger brother or sister scoring not so good in exam. So you know exactly how it feels because you have gone through the same situation. And that's why it's not just sympathy but empathy, not sahanubhuti but samanubhuti, that you feel the same for others. Yes, Vaibhavi.
So can you repeat the difference of sympathy and empathy?
Sympathy is when you feel sorry for somebody, that oh, something bad happened to him or her. But empathy is when you yourself have gone through the same kind of problem once. Let's say you scored badly in exam. Let's say you had fallen and you had hurt yourself, and all of them were enjoying the party, but you are not enjoying the party. This happened to you once, and when you see somebody else in the similar situation, you know exactly how it feels because you have gone through the same pain or maybe same situation, and that's empathy. है ना? So that is samanubhuti. That is, you feel the same because you have experience of that pain, right? So that's what slight difference is. Sympathy is for others and empathy would be that. So for example, when you read an emotional story, you feel sympathy for somebody who's maybe facing injustice or say hardship of life. But when you yourself have gone through same or similar kind of a situation, and then you see a character or when you read a story, and then you not just have the sympathy but empathy. Do you understand?
Okay, the meaning is same, but when we feel pity for ourselves,
No,
it's empathy. When we
no,
feel pity or sorry for others, then
no,
it's
no,
sympathy.
no. It's not feeling anything for self. It is for others only. But when you feel without having your first-hand experience, when you feel pity for others, it's just sympathy. Empathy is you are one with them because you have gone through, not at the moment, of course, you had
Okay,
in the past, you had that experience of that kind of, say, insulting experience or injustice, or maybe something wrong happened to you already. And now you see the same thing happening to somebody else. Then you have empathy. You feel one with them because you actually feel, you have felt already. And that's why you can correlate better. You understand? So that when you read a story of a girl without a mother or without a father, and if you unfortunately are into that kind of a situation, you can instantly connect that yes, I know how it feels not to have a parent. Or let's say if you have lost somebody dear to you, and similar thing happened to somebody else, you instantly get connected with them, that you know how it feels, how you feel when you lose somebody dear to you, so that you instantly get connected. And let's say when you are reading a story with that background, you have tears in your eyes. You know that it's a story, it's not real, right? But still you get connected, and that's what empathy is. So when you read stories, there may not be entire story, but maybe a part of a story where you find yourself, right? Where you see pain that you have gone through once. So that's the one. Okay, so that's what I would suggest is you can also go through the dictionaries, and I'm sure Google would help you difference between sympathy and empathy. But empathy involves your first-hand experience, and then similar thing happens to other. Sympathy is one you may not have the experience of the same, but you feel bad for others, right? So that's why we like to read stories. So that's one. The third interesting reason could be that we like fantasies. Like some of you said, you like to transport to the other world, which is not real, but a fictitious world, right? Maybe say a fantasy of love, of hate, or even maybe of horror, right? So you know that ghosts do not exist, but you like to read stories that has ghost in it, right? You know that ghosts do not exist, but you still like to fantasize the stories of ghosts or flying horses or some fantasies that are not possible in the real life, at least not so easily. And then when you read a story with such say fantasies, you like to explore those impossibles, isn't it? So that's the third possible reason, as some of you already guessed it. And last, we like to say see meaning in or of life in stories, right? So when we say we like to learn, we like to get the knowledge. So basically, we are trying to find the meaning from this so-called meaningless say life. And there are so many things that are beyond our understanding. There are so many things that are impossible. There are so many things that are so very difficult. But then you will try and find meaning when you read a story, when somebody going through such say pain, but even after going through the pain, they did not compromised, they did not say give up, and ultimately they reach and they could achieve something. And then you say, okay, there is always meaning in everything that happens. So something of that life lessons you also try and seek, and that's why we do that, because many of these qualities we don't see happening in real life. So we say that at least in the stories I would like this to happen, and that what makes it say interesting, what makes us interesting in that. So this is why we humans like stories, because basically we are say gossip lovers, so we like to know what's happening in others lives. We also like to sympathize with others, we like to empathize with others. Then of course we like to find meaning. So these are broadly speaking possible reasons why we like stories. And fantasy is something that fascinates all of us. That's where the word fascination comes from a fantasy, right? Something which is not real. The word romance, I'm sure you must have come across, is basically something which is romantic. Can you tell me what's the meaning of romantic? What is romantic? Of or related to romance. So what's romantic? Does it mean to do with the story that has love stories in it? What do you know about the word romantic? I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Who have expressions of love or romance.
Oh, you mean which has expression? You're talking the story, right? Not person. So which has some expression of? Yes, Pisha.
Romance or love.
Okay. So that's there. That's one possible meaning. But do you know it basically means something which is not real? Something to do with imagination. Okay, it could be a love story, it could be a horror story, it could be a story of a child, it could be a story of a single woman or a single man, which may or may not have love story in it. But something which is romantic is by definition not real. Okay, so that's what the term romantic stands for, of or related to imagination and something which is not real. So this is what the characteristics that are there in the stories, in the literature in general, that it is based on imagination. So now what I want to share with you is that how stories emerged as say literature, as a literary form. Before we come to that, if you notice that you know these stories, all the stories that you mentioned, you did not read, you have heard it, somebody told you that story, right? Now how many of you know the story of say Ramayana? What happened to Ram? Who was Lakshman? Who was Sita? Do you know that story? There are four brothers.
Yes, sir.
So what's the story like? So there was a king, named Dasrath. He had how many sons? 4?
4.
Okay, then what happened to this King Dasrath? You know the story, right? Entire story?
Yes, sir. Many times we
Yes,
heard
sir.
it.
Okay. Do you know the story of Mahabharata also? Right? There were five brothers called Pandavas. There were 100 brothers called Kaurav.
Yes.
You know the story?
A little bit.
Okay, but you know what happens, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you read Ramayana or Mahabharata? Anybody? The book called Ramayana or Mahabharata?
Not read, but watched in TV during lockdown.
Okay, but you know the story, right? Even if you ask your grandparents, they would know the story even without watching it on TV, and they too have not read it, but they know it. How do they know it?
Because they also heard from other.
Yes, so that is from generation to generation. These stories. Look at the length. Ramayana and Mahabharata, even it was shortened and cultured versions during lockdown, as some of you said. It took almost how many months for it to complete? It was that long, every day 1 hour, and it went on for say this 1 month or so. So almost 30 plus hours of filming, which was actually, if you see every episode that was there in the book, it would be even longer. So such a massive story, even when television and radios were not there, people knew these stories. So somebody must have told them these stories. Did you notice that? All the stories that you see are on your fingertips. These are the stories, most of the stories are not read. They are told and then remembered and then passed it on to the next generation after that and next generation after that. That's not literature, that's oral tradition. In the oral traditions, like songs and stories, they pass on, right? But as a literary form, it did not exist up to last century. As a literary form, that means written short stories were not there. Stories did existed in the oral tradition, right? Of the crocodiles and of say monkeys, all the stories that you say told me, all these stories were there. Most of you have not read it, you must have heard it. So that's the story element were there. But in the context of say literature, it started like this. I'll tell you the story of a short story, that how does it say came as a form, literary form, that we study as student of literature, right? If you are the part of society, you would definitely know some stories or the other. But if you are a student of literature, you will have to study a form called say short story. So how it came into existence, there is a journey that started with the dramas. So dramas are believed to be the oldest say literary form, one of the oldest literary forms, and they were again subcategorized as tragedies and comedies. I'm sure you know these two terms. The drama, that's the performing art. The play, there are broadly speaking two kinds of plays, something called tragedies, something called comedies. I'm sure you know that. So what's a tragedy? A kind of a drama called tragedy. What's a tragedy? That we used in non-literary context also, that a tragedy happened to him, or it was tragic.
Something that causes destruction.
Something that causes destruction. But in terms of a story, what kind of a story can you expect when you say it's a tragic story?
Which have some human
Serious.
sufferings.
Something serious.
Okay, Disha said, which has some human suffering. Yes, yes, somebody else was saying. What do you think about the ending? Tragedy ends happily or not happily?
It's sad.
Not happily.
Okay, it would be sad and generally not ending happily. That's why it is called tragedy, isn't it? On the other hand, we have comedies. So, what happens in comedies?
Written to amuse or entertain readers.
Yes, written to amuse and entertain. And what do you think a comedy would have? A happy ending or a sad ending? Yes,
Happy
ma'am?
ending.
Yes, it will have happy ending. If it is sad, then it will become a tragedy, right? So later on, of course, there were many experiments done with tragedies and comedies, as in tragedies with comic element and comedy with tragic elements, and so on and so forth. But broadly speaking, dramas, and there were two kinds of strictly, say, separate kinds of forms. Tragedies only talk about the tragic experiences of somebody's life. Comedies, all the comic experiences of somebody's life. That used to be the case with the drama. And then later on, we had other forms called romances. Romances were actually kinds of narrative, say poetries, which would be about somebody's journey, somebody's life. Usually long narrative poetries were called romances. There were characteristics in romances, usually chivalry, the warfare, the heroic, say, characters, those who try and help others. So grand narrative was known as romances, where you had some story elements in it. There are some stories told. In drama also there were stories told. Tragedies used to tell say tragic stories, and comedy used to tell comic stories or story with comic elements in it. Then came narrative, say say poetries known as romances. So these romances were basically poetries, but that had some story element in it, but very long, say narrative poetries used to be there. Then later on, we had third and very popular versions of stories called novel. I'm sure all of you know the term called novel. Now, in to break it, you are given the kinds of novels. Initially, when it started, they were termed as kitchen novels. What do you mean by kitchen novels? Novel based on kitchen. What do you think of kitchen novels? Any idea?
No, sir.
No idea. It was somewhere in say 19th century. Historically speaking, 19th century is one where we had, they had industrial revolution in the entire Europe in general and England in particular. So during this industrial revolution, what happened is that men started going out of their villages. They started staying in the cities. They started working for long hours, as long as 12, 15, or even 16 hours at the workplace, and at times away from their home, right? And it was also the time when the literacy was started, say, increasing even in the women. So then what happened was that women who were, say, relatively busy because of their, say, daily routines, now husbands are not there, and they have plenty of time. They know how to read and write, and during that time, the rise of novel as a form happened. And one of the popular category of novels used to be kitchen novels. That is, novels written specifically for housewives, because they had a lot of time, and still society was so rigid that women were not allowed to go out, so they'll be having a lot of time, and there were no other source of entertainment, and that's why they would read novels, long source stories or long stories with the themes that would appeal to women, like marriages, like household, like so kinds of Pride and Prejudice and others. So these were the categories which were called kitchen novels, which were very, very lengthy and meant for women to read. And of course, later on, we had historical novels, we had crime thrillers, and many other categories of novels, which became very, very popular during, say, 19th and 20th century. So the stories were there, multiple stories were there, kinds of stories were there, and they were novels. Understand, till then, short story as a form did not exist up to the end of 19th century. Short story as a form started developing only after, or maybe at the end of say 19th century, and somewhere by the 20th century, it started emerging as a form. So it started as long short stories because they were basically stories. They are not as long as novel and uh, shorter in length. So that started becoming very popular by the end of 19th century. So some of the master short storytellers are called. What are the master short storytellers? They are like O. Henry, they are like Edgar Allan Poe, right? Or Anton Chekhov. So these were the master short storytellers somewhere in the end of 19th century and throughout the 20th century that they came forward. So there are say detective stories such as Sherlock Holmes, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. There were many interesting, say, collection of hundreds and hundreds of stories by O. Henry. So that's also popular. In America, we also have Edgar Allan Poe, who also popularized the short story format. In other European languages like Anton Chekhov and others, they were not writing in English, but their short stories were equally popular across the Europe. So Somerset Maugham and Anton Chekhov. So these were the master short storytellers, with which we get to know the short story as a form in literature. Till then, stories always existed across, say, European culture and across the world. But as a form, it started getting popularity by the end of your 19th century and during the 20th century. Okay, so that's for the brief. I think I should tell you about short stories, and we get to know about the stories. We get to know about their say origin. So tomorrow we are going to have one more session on short stories as literary form. What I would want you to do is try and read at least one or two short stories, at least one, if not two, short stories by one of these authors that I just referred. I'm sure you can easily find such stories on, say, online. So maybe Edgar Allan Poe, maybe O. Henry, maybe let's say Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. Any one story if you could find, and if you could read, I'm sure you'll get to know some of the elements that we are talking, right? And tomorrow in the session we are going to discuss about the elements of short stories. What makes a short story, right? The way we did it with the poetry, that what makes a poem a poem. Similarly, we'll try and identify what makes a short story, right? How is it different from other forms of literature? So, which I'm sure you will find it interesting, but you'll find it more interesting if you yourself have read a story, right? Say, story that you have read, not the one that you have say heard or you are told, but a story if you could read, right? So any story of your choice if you could read, and I'm sure you can share your experiences tomorrow based on your reading that you have, right? So that's all for today. See you then tomorrow with a few more aspects of short story. Yeah. In case you have any query, questions, doubts, you may ask. We still have 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call it a day. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, sure. See you then tomorrow.